What's good, everyone? Welcome back to my first kicks. This is episode 147, and this week I welcome Shake to the podcast. Now, if you aren't familiar with Shake, Shake is an amazing person. He works within his community, works within other communities, helping people get sneakers and book bags and ready for the school year. So we talk a lot about helping your community, helping just volunteering if you have free time, just doing more for your community and for the people around you. I'm big on volunteering and helping and sharing people's stories, because if other people can get inspired by either my story or a guest story, then and it helps them be more, you know I want to say, motivated into pursuing their goals, or it brings just like a new profound look on life just through even just the stories I share on here, or even my jokes on TikTok or something like that. I feel that it gives a chance to somebody. You can either be just inspiration of moving into a better direction, or doing more with their life and such. But I'm all about impact, and Shake does tremendous work, and he has a tremendous amount of impact. He his message is cloaked in his brotherhood with Jam Master Jay. We talk a lot about hip hop. We talk a lot about just how what he saw the birth of sneaker culture, and I love getting those stories and just having his insight on, because he's seen a lot. And I mean, he got to tour with Run DMC for years, and I mean, they're one of the foundational acts of hip hop. So just adding on to the illustrious list of guests that I've able to have on, especially within hip hop, and my love for hip hop. If you know me personally, or you've seen what I talk about when I talk about hip hop, and have specific artists who are on as well that I'm super interested in, I have tons of love for music. So music and sneakers, it's a perfect harmony. So we talk about a lot of that in this episode. I don't know why I'm talking so much about this episode, because I'm pretty sure you want to jump into the episode. But I do want to touch on this. This episode comes out the week that I started this podcast. 3 years ago, I started this podcast, and I leveled up the podcast as much as I could and can. And so it's wild to see just like an idea that I had years ago, that I was procrastinating, because I'm the king of procrastination, into doing it consistently every year. I'm I want to say, thank you to everybody who's listened, or thank you to anybody who goes back and listens. Shout out to y'all, because this is I do this out of just pure passion and love, and I put my hard-earned money into it, and it's something that I truly believe in, and that I truly hope you know takes an hour out of your day and brings value to you, whether it be some good stories you can tell to other people, some just like some relation, like just being able to relate when I have a guest on. I just if you are listening to this, and this is beyond 3 years, or you're listening to this just today, I just know I appreciate you for listening, and I appreciate you just for rocking with me, either if today is the first day you rock with me, or you've been rocking with me since day one. So shout out to y'all. I couldn't do this without y'all, and I hope you, if this may be the first time listening, that you pass this on to somebody else as well. So thank you. And then I also wanted to say, next week I will be at Complex Con. I will be live in person. I'll try to do as much content as I can out there. I'll be having my boy Foggy with me. So if you see me on there, if you see me on the floor and you are going to be at Complex Con, stop me. I will give you I will give you a sticker. I might ask you to jump on this clip that I'm trying to make, because I'm going to be asking a couple questions. Definitely podcast related. I'm not going to ask you what is the worst sneaker release of the year. I'm not gonna ask you that. This is every question that I ask gonna be personal. Doesn't matter how long it has to be. That your answer will be please, please, please. If you want to, if you're interested and you hear this, stop me. Tell me you want to jump on. Bam, we'll have you on. I want to have as many people as I can. I want to have as many just amount of content so I can just continuously post and post until maybe next year of CompassCon, which would be wild. But if anything, me and Foggy will work together and put a little highlight reel onto the YouTube. Anyway, I also wanted to say, because I have Shake on, Shake's Day One Adidas is dropping on the 11th. This drops on the 10th, right? This drops on the 10th. So tomorrow, Shake's Day One Adidas drops on as 400. The first 400 pairs, he talks about it in the episode. First 400 pairs. If you are within the first 400 pairs, you get a QR code for a free pair, which is wild. A free pair of sneakers to give to your day ones. So think about that. I implore you to buy it. It's such a dope idea, such a dope shoe. If you follow me on Twitter, you can see the shoe. If you follow Shake on any platforms, you can see the shoe. It's a gorgeous shoe. It's such an honor to have him on this week. So on to where you can find Shake. You can find him on all social medias as Shake, SHAKEJMJ. And make sure you hit up the J Academy. I'll put a link in the description of the podcast where you can find Shake. You can find J Academy also. I won't be able to put a link for the day ones because I don't have a link, but I'm pretty sure they're dropping on the Confirmed app or anywhere you get your Adidas's, or maybe it might just be the Adidas site. But definitely check those out. And then you know where to find me. I am Who Is Haas on all social media. Follow the podcast at My First Kicks Pod. Follow the podcast on TikTok at My First Kicks. If you're watching this, if you look down and you notice that on iTunes you're seeing the video of me pointing at you right now, please, please, please leave a review on Apple iTunes podcast, and then jump onto YouTube and give me a like and a subscribe. I am trying to be consistent as much as I can with video content, continuously getting myself in front of the cameras. After having a real live show, it's been a life-changing experience. I want to get better at doing those, and also might as well pivot into it. That video of the live show will be dropping ComplexCon weekend. So next week, after you listen to this, next week you'll be not surprised, because if you listen to this, then you'll know the live show will be up on the YouTube same time every week. So very excited to jump into this episode with my guest this week, Shake. Hey, Shake, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man.
Nah, man, this is a huge honor. I've been following you. Well, I think I've been following you for a while. When I started my Twitter for the podcast, and you were Jazz Ray,
Okay.
the whole gang was all part of my follows. In terms of just trying to get in the sneaker community online, especially in Twitter. Back before what it is now, when it was legit Twitter. Yeah. um, but yeah, I saw what you're doing in your community and your story with Run DMC. Also, I was just like, this is crazy. I'm from Queens, and
Oh, what?
yeah, I live in Queens now.
Okay, that's what's
Yeah.
up.
So I had to have you on, especially because you do such amazing work, and we talk sneakers. I think I've been in a couple spaces with you, but yeah, you know,
Okay.
yeah. But for people who aren't familiar with you, how about you introduce yourself?
How you doing, everybody? My name is Shake. Like you said, I'm a sneakerhead, I guess.
Yeah, and you've done a lot of work in your community, and it's really dope, man.
Yeah, man. We gotta always make sure we try to give back.
For sure, for sure. But you're here to answer the question that I ask everybody each week, and that question is, "What's your first kicks? What's that first pair of sneakers you absolutely needed to have?"
Okay, so my story is a little bit different. So,
Hmm
I grew up single mother. She wanted to, buy me, reward me for getting some good grades and buy me a pair of
Mhm.
shoes. So we went to the store, and she had already had the store guy pick out a pair of Jordans, right? So
Mhm.
he had the Jordans, Nikes, whatever it was. So he had them put to the side. So we walk in the store, and my mother like, which one you want, and all the people in there going crazy over
Mhm.
the Nikes. And so I was looking around, and then she was like, you don't want this one? And she picked the shoe up because I wasn't saying that, and I was like, nah, I want that one. She said, which one you want? And I was looking around, and then I saw a pair of shells, and I said, I want those. And she's
Mhm.
like, what? And I was like, yeah. I said, I want those. And she said, why? And I said, just because I said they just look like me. You know what I'm saying? The other shoes didn't look like me, and that shoe felt like me. So that was my first I had to have.
That's wild. I mean, I don't own a pair of shell toes, uh,
Okay.
and I mean the I think what I'm trying to remember the closest. Maybe the closest is the Jam Master J pair. I was about to be
Okay. Which
like
ones though? Because there was a
the
couple
the
of them.
fir- the first one, like
Okay.
the tribute pair is what I'm talking
Okay. The
about.
black pair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. The ones
And
that turn gray.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was gonna be like, all right, cool, I'm a cop. And then when I went to go get them, I think they were just like instantly gone. I don't I it was like it was just wasn't meant for me.
Got
Um
you.
and then I think there was I know there's a Run DMC pair specifically where they changed the tongue, right?
Yep.
To say Run
Yep.
DMC. And I think
Uh
I
huh.
was trying to get those too. But nah, it's not in the cards for me. I never had those shell toes because it wasn't in the cards for me. But like, where'd you originally grew up and like?
So I was raised in Milwaukee probably till I was 14.
Hmm.
Met Jam Master Jay on tour coming through Milwaukee,
Hmm.
and I used to rhyme at the time, and one of my friends was like my biggest supporter, so he always be like, "Yo, he the nicest, he the best." So we ended up linking up with Jay over a basketball game and hung out, exchanged numbers. My man was like, yo, let him rhyme for you. So I started rhyming, and Jay was like, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? It sounded like LL, and I was like super excited, right? Because I thought that was so dope to be compared to
Yeah.
LL. And
Hmm.
then Jay like made this weird look, and I said, "What?" I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "We don't need another LL. We already got one. You got to get your own identity." And I was like, "Oh, all right." And so he hit me a couple days go past, and my friend was like, "Did you call him?" I was like, "Call who?" He's like, "Call Jay." And I said, "Yo, I ain't no groupie, bro. I ain't finna call him." He's like, "Yo, you should call him."
Hmm.
So I was like, nah, I ain't calling him. So he's like, bro, call him. So then I picked up the phone, you know what I'm saying, and called him. I'm like, yo, Jay, what up? You know who this is? He said, yo, it's my man Shake from Milwaukee. Like, what up? You ready to go to the studio? You ready to be famous? Da, da, da. Meet me in LA. And I'm like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? I got in cool mode. I'm like, bro, he remember who I am.
Uh-huh.
And he told me to come to LA, man. And I went to LA, and it was like coming from, the Midwest, where you only really see like LA on the movies, right? Because this was
Hmm.
in the early 80s, so you only see LA on the movies, colors and breaking and all, you only see it there, right? So
Hmm.
for me to get out there and actually see it, I was just like, yo, this is nuts. And so we stayed out there with them like 2 weeks hanging out. And then my friend was like, yo, how much money you got left? I said, I got like 300. And he was just like, all right, we got to go home,
Hmm.
tomorrow. And I was like, all right. So then when the morning came, he came to my room. He was like, what's up? You ready to go? I said, bro, I ain't leaving. I'm staying. I gave him my 300, dapped him up, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And he left and went back to Milwaukee. And then I started touring with them.
Wow, that's wild. That's
Yeah.
wild. What is? I mean, I gotta know like the culture shock. What's the difference between LA and Milwaukee? Because I've not.
What?
I mean, come on. I want to know.
Man, it's it was just different. Like now it's more relatable because of the internet, right? Because you
Hmm.
see more. But I mean, just back then, like I said, they had the movies Colors and Breaking and all that stuff. So that was the closest this is Middle America. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So you didn't really like, people in Middle America, they kind of like save their money up to travel to those kind of places, to go to
Hmm.
LA. We're gonna save our money the whole year to take the family to New York and go to Times Square and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
yeah, it was like night and day, man. It was like night and day. Like, definitely 100%.
What was your first job then?
My first job where?
Like while you were in Milwaukee, or did you start working at 14? Because you said you was out.
Yeah, my jobs was, I mean, I had a different job. I had a street job back then.
Oh.
So, yeah, my job was different.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've never been to Milwaukee, so like, I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know what that's like. Like, I mean, all my references. I'm trying to Milwaukee. I don't know why I want to say Timberwolves. What's the team?
The
Milwaukee Bucks.
Bucks.
The Bucks. There we go.
The
And
Bucks. The
and
champs. Huh? You
yeah.
know, the champs.
I don't know why. I don't know why it escaped me. And even with the Dame trade, I was just like, it just escaped me for some reason. And Dame's my favorite player. Uh, but I've never been to Milwaukee, and all I know, I feel like it's like a cold state.
No, it's just like New York. We get the
Hmm.
same weather. Yeah, it's the
Hmm.
same weather. Our winter's probably a little bit more brutal, but it's the same shit. Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, what influenced you to play ball or start playing ball? Like, did you started playing ball in high school or before that?
No, I was
Like,
playing before that. That was just like what we did in the neighborhood. Like I grew up in a
hmm.
neighborhood. It was kind of like, let's say like seven black kids and like three Hispanic kids, right?
Hmm.
And so this is really real. And so they used to make us play soccer because we needed them to play basketball, right? Because we didn't have
Hmm.
enough. So we needed them to play basketball and they needed us to play soccer. So that was kind of like the trade off. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all got to play
Hmm.
soccer with us today, and then we play basketball with y'all tomorrow. So
Hmm. How do you get good in those circumstances where you're like you're making that trade, so their other sport is what they're good at, and then the sport that you really want to play at, you're the best one at that sport.
I'm a competitor. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
compete at everything. So it don't matter. We can play dominoes. Whatever. I'm a competitor. I'm a compete.
Hmm. That's wild. After Milwaukee, where else did you move to?
Then I moved to where you live at, Queens.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
moved out there. Yeah, moved out there
Was
with
that
Jay and them.
was that high school? Was like that's where you went to
I
high
didn't, I
school
didn't, I
here?
didn't make it to high school.
No.
No, I was touring with the biggest rap group in the world. How am I go to school? You know what
I
I'm
mean, you're
saying?
right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
there's no
right.
school. We was running around. We was running around the world, man. We was in Japan, China. We everywhere. Russia,
Hmm. Hmm.
Poland, flying on little planes, getting sweated by armed guards when we land because Jay got weed on him. Like it was, yeah. I didn't make it to high school. That was my high school, I guess.
Yeah, that I mean, well, you got that's school of hard knocks right there. You was
There you
traveling
go.
right there. That I mean, that's so wild. Because I mean, at the like the idea of that, like you jumped straight to like superstar status, like off of that, you know.
Yeah, but it's crazy. Like I be
Hmm.
talking to 50, or if I talk to like the Outlaws, Edie, my brother Edie and Noble, we always talk about like that, right? Because it's like when it's happening, when you inside of it, you really don't see it, right?
Hmm.
So like everybody get their turn. So like like so when Run DMC had their turn, we was just living and shit was just crazy. And then
Hmm.
50 got his turn, and you know what I'm saying. And then Pac and the Outlaws got their turn. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like when it's happening, you don't really see it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
you live in it.
Yeah. It, I mean, well, I'm saying yeah, like I live, like I'm with you. It is like, but obviously I haven't had my turn at that yet. Maybe soon. But
There you go.
the well, you talk about the shell toes, and we know, you know, Run DMC made the shell toes what they are. In my opinion, on top of just hip hop, the birth of hip hop and such. The like, what was that like to see that happen? Where you thought you were like, I mean, we all know that Run DMC was the tastemakers of the time because they were the one traveling with all these rock bands, and everybody ended up just dressing up. They had these tracksuits, and the gold chains, and
Facts.
like, were you part of that, like, help, like, I guess, the decision to be like, yo, let's do this, let's pull out the shell toes because you got them so young?
Nah, I mean it was more so with Jay, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Where like, like Running D would wear whatever they was gonna wear, and then I would tell Jay, be like, nah man, don't wear that, wear this with that. You know what I'm saying? He like, what? And then like I would tell him like don't wear the like I'm like, bro, you don't gotta wear the whole tracksuit every time. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, wear the jacket and then wear some jeans and then your shoes, you know what I'm saying? So I was
Hmm.
a part of that, but not Running D. They was just, they was just wearing whatever they was wearing.
I mean, it's so iconic. I'm trying to, because I was, as you were talking, I'm trying to remember. I watched it. I think it was like that hip hop documentary where I think it was like, where they went through the birth of hip hop to like the current day, and then they talked about how big Run DMC was and like where they got their style from, and they were like talking about, oh yeah, Jam Master Jay was the youngest of the group, so he was the one that was like, oh, we should just take the style of the dope boys that we see every day,
Facts.
and and then we're the ones that are cool. And I was just like that.
Facts.
I did not know any of that, but it's wild. Uh, I mean, you get it. The craziest part is that you got to see how big sneakers became, like literally
Yeah.
to what it is now.
Yeah.
And you're part of the birth of that. Like, what have you seen that's just like where you're just like, wow, this is wild that sneakers came this far from what it was in the beginning.
I mean, to be honest, man, the biggest thing that I seen was Yeezy doing his sneaker release in the
Hmm.
garden. Like that
Hmm.
was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was
What,
crazy.
I actually don't know this experience. You gotta have to tell me a little bit
That
more
was
about that.
crazy. Man, everybody, I mean, shit, everybody who was anybody was in the garden that night,
Hmm.
from Puff to Hove,
Hmm.
Beyonce, Rihanna, Virgil, fuck everybody, Chance the Rapper, like I'm talking about like everybody was in the
Hmm.
garden that night. It was the crazy. It was Fifth was there. It was the crazy Big Sean. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Shit, Lamar Odom. Everybody was there. Everybody was there, man.
That which
And
release was
it was
this? This
crazy.
was the Adidas joints.
Yeah, yeah. It was in the garden. Sold out the
Hmm.
garden, man, for a sneaker release. That shit was crazy,
That's wild. That is so
crazy,
wild. Did you Are you a
crazy.
fan of the Yeezys? Did you get a
Yeah,
pair?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like them. Yeah, yeah, they
Hmm.
cool. They cool. I like I like different things,
Hmm.
and I think like for a long time, Adidas kind of like had the designers pigeonhole where everything had to have the three stripes on the side and shit.
Hmm.
And then when they kind of gave them more freedom, then they started creating doper sneakers and shit now. So I
Yeah.
think like now, like that's why they're able to do more. You know what I'm saying? Even what I'm saying? Like I said, they just it's just like why it's just more to work with now. More to work
Hmm.
with now. So yeah,
Nah, yeah, they're letting people do what they want versus like other brands that are just like, nah, it's got to be like this, or we only doing it
now it's a
like
little bit
this,
of
you
that
know?
too. Some of that everywhere. But I'm just saying that
Hmm.
they get more creativity,
Yeah.
which is enabling them to create doper product.
Hmm.
So when you kind of like when you kind of puppet master somebody, it's kind of hard for them to really let their creative juices flow. So when you got a creative person, you got to let them create.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Like, were you able to like step inside the Adidas headquarters and like
Yeah,
tour and stuff like that? Like, well,
yeah, yeah.
what?
I've been to Germany a couple times.
Mhm.
I was in Germany. I don't remember what year it was, but it was right when Yeezy was starting to, you know, go crazy. I
Mhm.
remember when Yeezy dropped an All Star Weekend, and we was in New York, and we walked in a Foot Locker, and they had the 750s in there. Didn't
Mhm.
even sell out. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause like people didn't really know. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know what it was. And
Yeah.
then we came back in about an hour, and them shits was gone. I think they only had like 15 pair, but they was gone in an hour. But yeah, when we went to Germany, I remember I ain't gonna say the name, but I walked by somebody's desk, and they had
Uh-huh.
an all red pair of 350s and an all blue pair. And I was like, yo, when them come out, I said that's when the violence gonna start, because them shits was hard, but
Yeah.
they never came out. They never came. It was an all red pair and an
Mhm.
all blue pair of 350s.
Jeez. Yeah, those that would be wild. I mean, I just saw this one of the previous guests I've had on. He got this YG collab in, and it's
Mm.
like nothing but blood. Like it's literally blood stuff. I was just like, this is crazy. Like I wouldn't
Yeah,
even. So imagine that. I mean, even that, or when Supreme dropped that like bandana North Face. I don't know if you remember
yeah,
that. Oh
yeah,
my! I was
yeah.
like, this
Yep.
is
See, and
can't
that's
wear
why I
that
was
in
saying that,
Southside.
man. Exactly. That's why I said, yo, when them like all red and all blue, I was like, yo, them shit's gonna be a problem.
the I mean, you talked about just going to LA, but like, what was like the culture shocks going when as you jumped on tour with Run DMC? Like, what was the culture shocks in other
Everywhere,
countries? Yeah.
everywhere. everywhere. Like I said, I'm middle America. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So I mean, for me to go to see the Great Wall and shit like that, I'm just like like everywhere. Flying to Poland.
Hmm.
On a propeller plane and shit, seeing like armed guard, like soldiers in the airport with guns and shit. Like I never seen no shit like that. Like that shit was wild.
That's
And then
crazy.
after we went around the world, and then the second time we go back, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm used to it now.
Yeah.
So
Were
yeah,
you? Did you ever like cop kicks while you're out on tour? Like, were
yeah,
you
all the
like
time,
looking?
all
Yeah.
the time, all the
Was
time.
Did you get some like region exclusive stuff, or were you
Yeah,
like,
but see,
yeah,
I wasn't into it like at that time. I just like, I mean, I kind of ain't into it now. I really just buy what I like, you know what I'm saying,
yeah,
or just get what I like, you know what I'm saying.
hmm,
And so I went to like I would get some sneakers, like it was the sneaker that Adidas made called the Mercury, you know what I'm
hmm.
saying. And so I had grabbed a pair of those. Jay was like, yo, what the fuck's those? Those Adidas? And I was like, yeah. He's like, yo. He said, yo, don't ever go to the store and grab you some shit this hot. Don't get me nothing. I'm like, all right. You know what I'm saying? And so I started grabbing him sneakers every time I grab me sneakers and shit.
Hmm. I mean, that's dope. I love that. That the brotherhood of sneakers. Like
Yeah.
when you got a boy that would be like, yeah, don't worry, I got you. I cop you your pair. Just slide me the money or like whatever or something like that. That get you
Yeah.
get close through sneakers. That's all. That's It's so dope. The Like, were you able to see? Because I mean, like I said, like you were part of the birth of sneaker culture too. Like that. It's wild how it evolved. And I've been reading Russ Bankston's new book, so like I'm like
Okay. Okay.
yeah, it's all like just like praising all the like I'm in the beginning of it. You just read like like he praises like the older stuff, like the Converses into the All Star, into the top tens, and like what they did for basketball, and then he touches in on a little bit of like sneaker culture, and I mean, you got to see like breaking, evolve into like Puma was like, yo, you got to rock the Clydes in this ad, and then but when you go back to the playground, they all wearing Adidas's, so it's just like those little like nuances. I don't know if you've got to see some of that like actually growing up and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that, man. I mean, I saw a
Hmm.
lot of that. I mean, sneakers, man. It's just I think like it just I just going all the way back to hip hop. I just think it just like changed the world, man.
Hmm.
It just changed the world. And everything is so heavily influenced by hip hop, and everything is so heavily influenced by sneakers, man. It's just unbelievable, man. Just to see where it started from to where it's at right now. You know what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
crazy, crazy.
I mean, you've been in. I feel like you've been in some rooms with some legendary people. But what was you said? You said you rocked with 50 for a little bit. But like, did you see when he dropped his Reeboks, his G units? Like, what was
Yeah,
it? What
yeah.
what was that like?
I mean, that was a cool moment. I thought
Uh-huh.
it was cool. He had the wave at the time. You know what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
didn't know that they was gonna sell as well as they did. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? But his wave was huge. You know what I'm saying? He had that machine behind him, Dre and M. I mean, shit. What he do? Diamond 3 times in a row.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you
You
know
did?
he gonna move some units.
Did you cop one of them the tank tops with
Nah,
the
nah, that ain't
stripes?
my nah. It's crazy because I just went on his tour and just seen him. It was a couple
Mhm.
people that had this shit on too. Yeah, and they said it was original too from the original drop. They didn't go get it
Yeah.
made. It was the original.
That's
So
so.
I was
I
like,
remember
wow.
because that's the height for me. That was like high school for me. So I'm going to school, and like I used to go to school in the Lower East Side. Yeah, that's considered Lower East Side. I used to go
How
to
you go to
school.
Lower East Side and you from Queens?
I mean, I lived on the Upper East Side at the time. I grew up in Corona, Queens.
Mm-hmm.
From shout out to the Beat Nuts. That's one of my favorite groups. The
Okay.
and then moved to Upper East Side, and then as I was there, I got zoned all the way down in Lower East Side, so I was going to this really bad high
Gotcha.
school, and I was there, and then during that time, that's when 50 was dropping the mixtapes,
He was killing
Wanksters,
shit.
Pop,
He was
yeah,
killing shit.
he was going crazy.
Killing shit. It
Uh,
was only two niggas that was hot at that time. It was him and Joe Buttons.
hmm.
And I was like, one of them niggas is finna be the biggest thing larger than life. It was only them two.
Yeah, well, now they're both currently. So You were right. Both, except one's doing podcasts and the other one,
Yeah,
well, and the other one's doing TV. So
yeah, yeah.
it's wild. But yeah, so during that time, I mean, kids were pulling up in those damn tank tops, and they all thought they were 50 Cent, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, you're not even from Queens. You got to chill out. Like
Yeah,
that. I mean, look, 50 Cent made Southside Jamaica, Queens look like the most dangerous place in all of
big
New York,
facts.
all of New York,
Big
maybe
facts.
all of
Big
United
facts.
States at one point.
Big facts. He doing it
uh,
again now with them damn TV shows. So you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. I mean, I actually
Yeah.
don't watch. I don't watch Power. I should though
Okay.
because yeah, I don't watch Power, but I did. I did. I'll tell you my 50 Cent story. So I used to work for MTV and BET. He's like he used to run a ton of stuff on BET. And one day we was in the office like late. Like it wasn't like late. It was like 5 o'clock. And then I'm trying to like leave. And as I leave, they're like, oh, we can't use the elevators right now. And I was like, why? And then they're like, oh, 50 Cent's in the building and nobody can use the elevators. You're gonna have to wait 30 minutes until he leaves. I was like,
Uh-huh.
what? Like is Obama? Is this Obama? It was absolutely nuts,
Ah,
man.
that's
I don't
nuts.
I mean, is wild that like he's gotten so big to the point where you can't even be you have to have clearance to be around him. So I mean, it's wild.
Facts.
the I mean, so what made you jump on sneaker Twitter? I definitely want to know. Like,
Sneaker Twitter. To
yeah,
be honest, man. To be honest, it was from Jazz. You know what
hmm
I'm saying? Because I've been doing, work in the community since 2008, right?
hmm
And I was like doing all this different stuff, and she was like, "Yo, you gotta start letting people know who you are." You know what I'm saying? You can't just keep, being Batman. You gotta be Bruce Wayne sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I
hmm
was like, you right. You know what I'm saying? And so I slowly start integrating myself and conversating with people, and stuff like that. Doing
hmm
things like this podcast and stuff like that. So yeah, it was definitely her 100%.
Yo, shout out to Jazz. Hopefully, future guests one day. We'll see. What? Because I gotta know about like what influenced you into jumping into work, doing work for the community.
Oh, that was easy. It was Jay.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? Like
hmm
when we used to be on the road, we get all this stuff from Adidas, and so we would have like, we'd be on the tour bus and we would stop at Best Buy and buy
hmm
video games and shit like that. And then Adidas would send us so many clothes, and so we just couldn't take it all with us, so we would just leave it in the room. And then like after we would go to Chicago one time, and then we would come back, then housekeepers would be like, "Oh, they're back," our friends, because they waiting to see what was leaving the room, right?
Uh-huh.
And so we leave the stuff in the room. And then one day Jay was like, "Yo, get everything we don't want and like take it downstairs to the Bellman and we're gonna ship it back to Queens." And I was like, "What?" It's like, all right. So we get it, take it downstairs, ship it back to Queens, take it, ship it back to Queens. And then one day Jay pulled up on Hollis Ave and he was like, pull up the U-Haul, lift it up,
hmm
and he just started giving his stuff away. You know what I'm saying? And so then when he passed, I was trying to think of a way like to honor him, right? And so I was like, everybody's like, "Oh, you should get a tattoo right there and do this." And I was like, "Nah." And they was like, "You should get a shirt with his face on." And I was like, "Nah." And because he was bigger than that to me, you know what I'm saying? He was bigger than the tattoo and stuff like that. No disrespect to nobody to do it, but he was bigger than that to me. And
hmm
so then I was thinking, and then one day I just like rose up like the Undertaker. I said, "That's what I'm gonna do." I said, "I'm gonna get back like he used to do," you know.
hmm
And so I called Adidas, nervous as I don't know what, because that I used to always ask for shoes, and I'd be like, "Yo, can I get two pairs of them?" "Yep, shake on the way." "Can I get a jacket?" "Yep, I need three shirts." "Boop, on the way." So now I'm calling them and I'm asking. I said, "Yo," I said, "What's up, Shake? What do you need?" It's like, can I get 50 pair of shoes?" "Yep." Can I get 50 shirts?" "Sure, no problem." I was like, "Oh shit." Then they said, "What are you doing?" And I told them I want to do a give back thing to honor Jay. It's like, "Oh, that's dope." They said, "You need any backpacks?" I was like, "Yeah." They said, "What about hats?" "Yeah." So then they was like, "Okay." And then they was like, "What's the size run?" And I was like, "Oh shoot, I didn't think about that." So then
Yeah.
I told them, give me size, gave them the size run. They shipped all the stuff to me. I did it. It was incredible. And then I've been doing it ever since. You know what I'm saying? And I'm up to last year. This year we just did 1,001 pair of shoes, book bags, haircuts,
Hmm.
school supplies. The whole nine. So yeah, so that's where it all started from.
I know you're enjoying my conversation with Shake, but I'm jumping in here to talk about Magic Mind again. Last week, I talked about how it changed my mornings, and the week before that, because Magic Mind helped me, and it's helping me every morning just with their simple magic shots. And just like I said last week, you know, I'm very sensitive to caffeine. Every cup of coffee is literally like a shot of espresso to me. I get the jitteriness, my heart's palpitating. I'm It's not a fun experience if you're around me and I had caffeine because I'm just yapping like crazy. So Magic Mind helped me. Just one shot that I do in the morning, it helps me with that jitteriness, and I'm simply just cruising through the day off of one shot of Magic Mind. And it also just helps me not have to sip a cup of coffee and risk myself going to sleep super late and then being tired the next morning. So then you just fall into a circle of just caffeine, go to sleep late, wake up, now you need caffeine again. It's not a fun experience. It actually really helps me get back into like a night routine. So Magic Mind's super helpful. But if you're are really into coffee, which I know there's a bunch of lovers that listen to this. If you're really into coffee, Magic Mind actually helps with the distribution of caffeine through your body. So one cup of coffee lasts you longer. And I know there's a couple people that will drink like 3 or 4 cups of coffee and not feel a thing. I know there's some people that just drink a cup of coffee before bed, which is not good. It's not good. Your body is still awake. Your body is still trying to get rid of that caffeine. Well, Magic Mind helps you hold on to that caffeine so that you don't need that nighttime cafe. You don't need, your midnight, you know, Bustelo. Like you could just do a Magic Mind in the morning and you're good to go. But I also have to shout out Magic Mind because ever since I added it to my morning routine, it's helped me create content after work. My days are pretty long. So as soon as I get home, I'm like, I'm not making a TikTok. I'm not editing this podcast. But Magic Mind helps me push through and stay alert and focused to what I want to do and continue putting out great content for you guys. So if you aren't sure of what is inside Magic Mind, just know you have nootropics in every shot, and nootropics are very vital. They help with focus, and you also have ashwagandha, which helps with stress and anxiety, and especially if you're watching this right now, Shake has been in the hip hop community for so long, and he's toured with Run DMC. I'm pretty sure you heard me talk about that with him. So I was very anxious, and that ashwagandha helped me cruise right through that interview. Well, this interview, and of course, cordyceps mushrooms, which you have heard within The Last of Us, which I find very funny that cordyceps mushrooms have had a bad rap, but it's actually really good for your immune system, and it's helping me through. We're in cold flu season, and whatever stuffy nose season you want to call it. But trust me, Magic Mind actually is helping me through getting through cold and flu season, especially in New York out here. It's wild out here. Weather's crazy out here. But if you're interested in joining me in boosting your mornings, visit magicmind.com/mykick and use the code mykick20 for 56% off your first subscription. And also, if you just want like one time purchase of just like a 90 day pack or a 30 day pack, a 30 pack, uh just use the code mykick20 and you'll get 20% off of that one time purchase. And also, if you are not feeling the magic like I'm feeling the magic after your try of Magic Mind, They also offer a 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. But of course, I've been telling every single person and some on this that have been guested on this podcast about Magic Mind, because Magic Mind has helped me, given me a great opportunity to talk about Magic Mind and put my listeners up on Magic Mind. So I'm hoping you all will also support the podcast and Magic Mind, who also is supporting the podcast, by visiting magicmind.com/mykick and using that mykick20 code and get that 50%, 56% off your subscription. And trust me, like once you start one or try one, you're going to just want another one the next day. So I'm saying definitely get a 30 pack today. But back to my conversation with Shake.
Man.
I mean, it's such amazing work. A lot of these kids, I definitely, it's definitely gonna make a great impact on them. Like and hopefully that creates more of them actually also learning to give back,
There
especially
you
when they
go.
get older.
Exactly.
So like,
Exactly.
uh, I mean, I've every chance I ever get to volunteer, I'll always take it because it leaves a bigger impact than people think. Like, I think like my job, my previous job would do like volunteer days, and you'd
Hmm.
go, you do your thing. Like, I mean, there was one that was pretty boring, but there was one that was like, you work with some kids, you paint a fence, and you get to talk to this kid, you get paired up with a kid, and you get to bestow like your knowledge of the world on this little kid for like
Mm,
like like
for
less
sure.
than 8 hours. Like it's dope. I think it's really dope. So
Yeah.
for you to create like a big impact where people are getting stuff and then they take that memory of like, yo, my first pair is from Shake, and now you part of their
There you
their
go.
memory of like, like, yo, I got these
Exactly.
crazy Adidas from Shake.
Yeah. I get
Yeah.
so many of those stories, bro. I get so many of those stories.
What is like is there a moment that stands out for you where I mean, I'm pretty sure because you've done it for so long, but like, is there a moment that stands out for you where it just like touched your heart and you just like you had to take a moment and just be like, all right, man, I'm about to cry.
Yo, I tell you this, right? So, we did Christmas last year, and
Mhm,
so I was doing it with this with the Boys and Girls Club, and I was like, yo, I should tell the kids like we picked what was it, 300 kids? Yeah, it was 300 kids, and we were spending $100 on each kid. And
mhm,
so they were supposed to submit their Christmas list. Then we go shopping to get the stuff. So they submitted the list, and so I'm looking at the list, and the list is just saying shit like socks, coats,
mhm,
gloves, a hat, underwear. And I was like, fuck is the toys at, right? And I'm
mhm,
like, yo, this is wild. So I was like, yo. So I went back to the Boys and Girls Club. I'm like, yo, here, man, y'all gotta take this back. Like, bro, where's the toys at? And then he was
mhm,
just like, yo, that's what they need. Like, this is what it is. And I'm like, damn, like this is fucked up. Like, I just felt like I was like kind of detached from reality, right? Because I was like,
mhm,
so you mean to tell me like that this is like Christmas for them getting that a coat? You know what I'm saying? I was like, wow, this is nuts. Because Christmas to me was toys. It was GI Joes and Rubik's cubes. Like that was toys was Christmas, right?
mhm,
And so I was like, oh shit. So I ended up getting them the socks and the other stuff, and then I got some toys too. And then
mhm,
this one girl, so when we was passing the stuff out, so I asked her because she just put like on her list she put coat, 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 coat,
mhm.
coat, coat, coat,
Oh,
coat, 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 like 20 times.
yeah.
So I was like, hey, I said, let me ask you a question. Then she said, I said, why did you want a coat so bad? She said, because I just wanted a coat with a zipper that worked.
Wow.
I said, what? Yeah, man. It was wild. I was like, wow, that's crazy. She said she just wanted a coat with a zipper that worked.
Jeez. So she's probably been using this code for a while too.
There
Then
you go. I see her every year now. I've been seeing her every year. We did it. Did it
that
last
zipper
year.
work? You'd be
Yeah,
like,
that zipper work. She good now. She happy now. She happy now.
man,
Now,
that's
yeah,
that. I mean, that's touching. That the world that the way the world is now. Like especially in New York, we're so used to homeless people just sitting on the street. You just walk right past them. You
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
And nobody's asking like, "Yo, do you need anything?"
yeah.
Everybody always prejudges them and tells them like, "Oh yeah, it's probably some fiend or something like that."
There
But
you go.
everybody's circumstances is different, especially now with
Facts.
like a bunch of like refugees pulling up and like staying out front of that hotel. I don't, is it that Midtown Hotel? I don't know what hotel it is, but it's just wild the world we live in right now. I have my old boss, my previous boss. She does what was it called? It's like backpack project backpack. I think it's called something like that,
Okay.
where you get assigned a kid. You get your budget is like 60 to $100, something like that, and then you buy a backpack and you fill it with whatever they're asking for.
Oh,
And
that's fire. I like that.
yeah, it's a really dope initiative. And so, like I said, I try to jump in. Like sometimes she'll pass it off to other people to do it and set it up and stuff like that. So, I mean, I definitely want to jump in on that one time. But I did it a couple years, and it just feels totally different. Where, I'm pretty sure like there are kids, especially maybe if there's a kid listening to this now, like you feel like the worst thing is to feel unprepared to go to school on the first day, or like, you still rocking like old clothes for
Yeah.
years now,
Yeah.
and that first day, I feel like if you come, that first day is so important, especially for a kid, because I think it creates a trend of how the school year is going to go, you know,
It set the
and
tone for sure.
so definitely it
Sets
sets
the
the
tone.
tone.
I was reading this article and it was saying how important the first day of school was. I was like,
Hmm.
wow. Yep, said set the tone for the rest of the school year. And when I just did my back to school thing, man, you should have heard them kids out there, man. He's like, I like reading, I like math, I like everything. I want to be a
Hmm.
doctor, I want to be a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? And I just think like all we should be supporting them. And I think like all kids just really need a chance.
No, yeah. And that's the thing. I think like a lot of people are easy to just be like, man, that kid don't need to do, like, they don't need this extra stuff, and it just
Nah,
tossed
they
to the
need it,
side.
bro.
Even with like I hope I say her name right. Jerlissa.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
yeah.
did that. She did the sneaker. It's called Growing Grails. She was
Hmm.
like part of that, where you get assigned a size and you could just buy $100 sneaker for a kid, and
Oh, that's
and
dope.
yeah. So I did that this year, and I don't know if I'm not gonna take the credit for it, but of like, there was the story that was posted after, and I know what shoe I sent in. So, but this kid, his shoes were falling apart, and the teacher that the teacher that was holding all the sneakers that were donated, she saw that the kids' shoes were falling apart, so she just went in, picked up a shoe his size, gave it to the kid, and he was like, "Oh my god!" Like that moment. I wish I was there for that moment. Of just like, this kid, like, it feels like, not like life saving, but it's so different when you feel like you don't have the money, even if it's like, oh,
Exactly.
I don't have the money, I don't want to burden my mom with like, oh, I need these shoes, or I want these shoes, I'm gonna just keep riding them down and not say a word. There's and I'm like, I'll buy, I'll hopefully, at the end of the year I get my one pair. And people, especially now, don't know that there are still kids who have to only have one or two pairs a year. So yeah, it's big.
Was that the one where she sent some shoes to a school or something like that?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't. My bad for not knowing the name of the school, but yeah, yeah, I know it was called Growing Our Grails. That was the initiative. So yeah,
Oh,
but
that's
I
dope.
mean, yeah. Where specifically do you do your work with the community?
It's probably 90% in Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? I did a couple things in Miami, a couple things in Ohio. So so I do move around from time to time, but mainly here.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Why Miami? Because I did you grow
Nah,
up
it was
there?
just this lady, she works for Foot Locker, and so she was just like, just like you, like, yo, you be doing incredible work. I would love to work together. I said, yeah, let's, stay in touch. And so she reached out to me and told me about this women's, the biggest women's homeless shelter in the world is
Mm-hmm.
in Miami. And so I was just like, what? She's like, yeah. She said, we can figure something out. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I partnered with them, and then we did it, with me and through my nonprofit at Foot Locker.
I mean, shoot, that's such a dope, dope. I was gonna say activation, but that's not the right word. That's such a dope thing to put together. My bad. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
fumbling
shit
over
was
words.
dope. Shit was
I think.
super dope. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you know, like people don't realize how much and how valuable them shoes are, man. You might think like, oh, that's just a superstar, or that's just a whatever, right? And it
Mhm.
mean a lot to somebody, man. You know, I say at the time, man, people just need a chance, man. They just need somebody to believe in them, like especially these kids. They need somebody to know. They need to know that somebody loved them other than their parents, right? 'Cause you know, mom
Mhm.
and dad, you know they love you, right? But they need to know that me and you love them, right? And we gonna put our arm around them and we gonna lead them down the right path as well.
The like that's so important because especially when like kids in a big city, not Miami specifically, but like in just a general big city, it's so easy to just fall into like, oh, yo, the cool kids are doing this, I got to do this to get to be with the cool kids, and it's like
Exactly.
super big emphasis on that. And if you like, that's how you learn how people start stealing and stuff like that. You start going down the wrong path just to fit
Facts.
in. Yeah.
Facts.
So it's tough. But the like, has there been a moment where, like, you told somebody, your story, and it motivated them, and you come back around the next year and they're like, yo, man, this is what I'm doing now, like, and you feel that
Yeah, I mean,
proudness.
it ain't been so much. It ain't so been much of so much of my story. It's just been people that been touched by, my giving back.
Hmm.
Like I mean, man, I'm be honest, bro. Like I get probably a message like maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks about somebody. Like this one kid reached out to me. He was like, "Yo, you don't remember me? I came to your first back to school thing. I was young, getting bullied, picked on at school." He said, "You gave me the shoes, the haircut, the backpack, the hat." Like he remembered the whole. I was like, "Oh yeah." I said he was really there, and he was like, "Yo," he said that made me like look at school different. I applied myself. Now I'm a master electrician. I got my own company. Got 3 employees. I'm married and I live in Memphis. And I just want to tell
Wow.
you thank you. And if you think that what you're doing ain't really doing nothing, I'm living proof that it is. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
You ask him to cut a little bit off a rate for to rewire your house, after
Nah,
that
he in
one.
Memphis, man. He in Memphis. He in Memphis.
Be like, I know you got 3 employees. Pull up, man. I got. Like, let me get
He in
some.
Memphis.
I mean, that's so dope. I I love the emphasis on the haircut. Because people don't know how important, like, you can just get fresh clothes, but that fresh
Exactly.
haircut though.
There you go. There you
Oh
go. It's a
man.
game changer. You know what I'm saying? It's a
Hmm.
game changer.
The like the I don't know if it's like, okay, the you get the therapeutic feeling on top of it, but like feeling like a brand new person, and then you get new clothes
Exactly.
on top of that too
Exactly.
is wild.
Yeah,
It's
then it's
so,
go time after that. It's no excuses. Let's go. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Let's go.
It's so crazy. You recently announced you were working on something big too as well, right?
Yeah.
The
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Yep.
can touch on that a little bit.
Nah, I can't touch. When is this airing?
Oh, this is airing next week.
Yeah, nah, it's too early.
Too
Too
early?
early. Too early. Too early. I'm working on a couple big things, but one of
Yeah.
them is huge. One of them is huge. One of them is gonna be a game changer for sure.
I know. I thought it was like, did you open a store recently, or
Mm-mm.
it was like, I know I
Store.
saw a picture of a bunch of boxes, and I don't know what the boxes were for.
Oh no no no. Well, I can talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But that's not the huge thing. That's huge too. But that's not the big thing.
yeah. Hmm.
And so the next thing that I'm working on is that I got two shoes coming out with Adidas
Hmm.
on 11/11. You know what I'm saying? And so the name of the shoes is called Day One.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like the shoes is through my eyes and like my best friend eyes, right? You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Kind of like how we talked about earlier, how I would go to the mall and get a pair of shoes, and then I would get him a pair of shoes. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, and they call Day Ones. Come out November 11th. And the crazy thing is about that shoe, bro, is that I sold 376 pair of shoes, and the people who bought the shoes, nobody's seen them yet.
Wow.
Nobody's seen him. It's crazy. It's crazy. I truly appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? People like, yo, I don't want to miss out. Like, tell me where to send. I need a 10 and a half. I need an 8 and a 12 for me and my girl. Like, that's all I've been getting, bro. So it's been crazy love. And then the best part about that shoe is that inside the box, it's gonna be in the first 400 pairs that get purchased. Inside the box, it'll be a QR code inside that box. So if you buy a pair, you'll be able to scan that QR code, and then you'll be able to gift your day one a pair of shoes for free.
What? That is
Yeah.
crazy. That's
Yep.
fire. That is so fire. That's
Yep.
I'm gonna push some shade on Tom's real quick, but that's way better than Tom's.
Yeah, I just feel like they, what I'm saying? I feel like these kids nowadays, man, they you know, the whole friendship and my guy and what I'm saying, like they get caught up in these slang sayings, right? Like the
Mhm.
new saying now is like motion and standing on business, right? They be like, I'm standing on business and motion and all that. I'll be like, what the, what are you
I've,
talking
I've
about, right?
I've never heard that.
Yeah,
I
bro,
guess
they
I'm
be
out
saying
of it.
it hard, son. They be saying it hard. So I'm just like trying to bring back that feeling of friendship and that camaraderie, that brotherhood, right?
Mhm.
Because your day one is not the person that you rob a bank with, right? Your day one is the person that tell you not to rob the bank, right?
Mhm.
So, and I just want them to know that life is about choices, and when you choose your day one, you got to choose wisely.
Agreed, agreed. I think that people definitely take the word friendship to for granted a lot, like
Yep,
but for me
yep,
it's always been like, if you extended family, like you right here, I keep everybody, I mean, I don't know if it's like at fault, but like I think a lot of people do this. So you keep the circle small, but if somebody connects with you on a level that you've never expected anybody to connect with you, then that's just you can't deny that. That's just family
exactly.
right there. That's friendship right there. And I'm you said 350 have been sold. I'm gonna need to get in on
Nah, nah, 376,
all right, as long as it's under 400, I'm trying to get in there.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. There you go. That part. Yep, that part.
But that's wild. Being able to partnership with a brand, especially when you've been rolling with that brand for so long too, like that. I love that they're giving back to you to be able to give another opportunity to people who,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
is that's such a beautiful opportunity, like it's full circle, especially in
there
my
you go.
eyes,
Exactly.
the
Timing is
the
everything, man. You know what I'm saying? Timing is everything.
the well, I'm very hyped now. I'm very hyped for you, and I think that because it's what's really dope about like being able to work with a brand, especially when they invest in you so much, like that, you get a chance to tell your story your way,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
especially with the vote of confidence like that. I don't know. I've been thinking about a lot about the word appreciation. Like, do you like if you feel appreciated, or like do you need to feel, no, not appreciation, approval? If you feel like, do you need, what creates approval? Like, do you need approval from other people in order to feel validated? And
Mm,
you know what goes into that? Like, is the approval, I mean, for me specifically, is the approval a ton of people listening to this podcast and like interacting with me, or is the approval the right people listening and passing it on? Like that, I don't know where the line takes its turns and stuff like that, but I always also feel like once you get, I guess, your sense of approval, like that's super fulfilling. Like, I don't know if you look at this as approval, like, or this is like, this is your like, you don't need approval, you got, like, you
exactly. There you
good.
go.
you know
Facts. Yeah.
yeah.
Facts.
I think that I don't know if that's like just like a me thing in my head thing, but if
Yeah, I would never
it
want. Nah, I wouldn't. I would never want somebody's approval. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm just gonna always do me. You know.
Yeah,
I think you
that
should too. You know what I'm saying? Because
mhm.
you gonna, you would just spend your life, you know what I'm saying, living somebody else's life, trying to do something to approve them instead of, I mean, to get their approval instead of just living your life. So yeah, nah, not never for me.
No, yeah. I mean, you're right. You're right. I'm not. You're right. That's what the, because I wanted to bring this to back to hip hop. So like, hip hop's one of my first loves, and it that was the original of like, I'm gonna do me. Like, you gonna hear my story. I'm gonna do me. I don't care if you like it or not. And hip hop, stylings hip hop, just like being hip hop, the definition of hip hop. Like, what does it mean to you?
That You talking about doing you, just doing your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of like what I'm doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Just doing my own thing, man. Just kind of, find my own lane. Something that I'm passionate about, something that I care about. Which is
Hmm.
the kids and the community and stuff like that. So, that's why I've been, doing it for so long. Doing it for
Hmm.
so long. I got a couple other things. I got an AAU team coming soon now next year.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna, put my hands on these kids, man. I think like it's just too many. I don't know, man. I just feel like it's a lot. It's a lot of work to be done. I'm built for it, tough though, so I'm built for it. But it's a
No,
lot of
yeah.
work to be done, man.
I mean, yo, I love the fact that you jumping back into basketball too. You know that.
Yeah, man. It's a
Uh,
long time. Like as much as I love the game, like I'm talking about. Listen, I'm old and I play. I still play on Sundays, right?
hmm.
And it's just like everybody used to always ask me for years, like, why you never got into music or why you never got into basketball? And I'm just like, the music business, bro. If you think like you would punch somebody in the face for owing you $100, right? What would you
Hmm.
do to somebody that owe you 100 million? You know
Jesus.
what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
So I'm like, nah, I'm never messing with that. Because I seen too much go on, man. Since I can't mess with that. But then, like the basketball, I always had love for the game and stuff like that. So I was like, man, one day I'm gonna get into it. You know what I'm saying? Get me a team, and now I got me a team, so now I'm getting to it.
No, yeah. I mean, even when Fife was doing his scouting back in the days, before his passing, like, because
Yes.
one of my favorite groups is A Tribe
Right.
Called Quest,
Okay.
so like that, like I was always like all in on like, okay, I gotta learn more about what's going on, like, so yeah, I was always like paying attention to when Fife was talking about, his scouting and looking at teams and like seeing players and stuff like that. He was ahead of the game in that, and
Yeah.
that's that's
Facts.
what that's what brought me to AAU because I didn't even know AAU existed because I played
Mm.
ball and I guess I played on the AAU team, but I did not know it was an AAU team. I thought I was
Got you.
just playing basketball. So like, so it was wild that happened. But I remember just like watching that Beats Live, what is it? The documentary on Tribe, and
Okay.
they talk before Five's passing, and like that, like talking about, yeah, Fife is just really into basketball right now and scouting. I was just like, oh, really? So I just started like on the internet, like, what's Fife doing? What's Fife
That
doing?
is time.
Yeah, ahead of his time, and it's really dope to see that you're putting a team together and yo get those chips, man. You gotta get those
There you go.
chips.
There you go.
What I mean, are your like the team that you're building, right? Is it
Mm.
like, are you guys gonna play in Adidas too? Is it just
Yes.
like
Big
straight
facts.
up?
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Hmm.
100%.
That I mean, I've never. What did I play in Adidas? I played in one pair of Adidas's. I don't know. What are your favorite pairs to play in since you ball on
Basketball.
Sundays? Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the new one is the Crazy Infinity. That's my
Hmm.
favorite right now. Even though that ain't a basketball shoe per se, but I like that shoe. The Harden Sevens is dope. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? All the Kobe's, all the Kobe's, it's like good
Hmm.
basketball shoes. So it's a bunch of them, man. I mean, even the Yeezy, the knit basketball, those some dope basketball
Oh
shoes
yeah.
too. Those some good
I
shoes.
I heard that. Yeah, they had Sheck West was the one that developed
Yep.
that shoe because he was
I don't know
balling at
about
the
that,
time.
but I know he was hanging around, yeah, around that time.
Yeah, but they were saying because he was like this is like before he switched to rapping, he was like
hmm
balling. So he was like on the Yeezy team for balling. That's what
hmm
I heard on an inner interview, and I don't know if that's
hmm
right, but it's I don't know. I never tried the knit basketball shoe. I
You
thought
know,
it
he
was
from
like
Milwaukee.
he is.
Yeah, I think that dude from Milwaukee. Somebody told me
I thought
that.
he's from Brooklyn.
Shaq West.
Yeah.
What's the other guy? What's Shaq West's biggest record?
It's Mobamba, right?
Obama.
I think that's Sheck West. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Mobamba.
Obama.
And he'd be like, fuck, because the song skips, and then he'd be like, fuck Sheck West, or something like that. Fuck shit. What is it? Oh, fuck shit, bitch,
Yeah,
young Sheck West.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the kid that's from here.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't. I like I said, I didn't know he was even on that, like in the squad for the build of any of the Yeezy shoes. But I
Mm.
heard that like he was in the Adidas like their factory when they went to China, and he just was
Yep.
walking around with
Oh,
a
that was
speaker on.
Beamer. You heard Beamer
Yeah, I was
story.
watching the Beamer
Beamer.
story. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which hopefully I get him on too. Look, this is I got you on.
You
This
got
is
to
the
come to
trend
the.
upwards.
You ever been to the Black Footwear Forum?
No, I've never,
Oh, you
never.
need to come to it, bro. That's where everybody at. That's where you gonna
Hmm.
catch Beamer and Jazz and everybody you trying to get. That's where you gonna catch them at.
I mean, hopefully next year. That's a goal. It's definitely a goal of mine next year because
In
doing this
Detroit,
podcast. Yeah,
September
yeah, doing this
2024.
podcast and try to get as many black voices on here too. Like just love hearing the stories and but as we go to the end of the podcast, I do ask another question. First of all, thank you so much for jumping on one more
Oh
time. I
no,
have to
this is
tell you
dope.
that.
Yeah, this is good.
But at the end of the podcast, I asked another question. And that question is, I want you to think about when you were about to buy, as a young kid. I want you to think about when you're about to buy those the shell toes, right? Right. So now you're you transported back in time. What would you tell your younger self as they open that box?
You should have kept them shoes. You should have kept them shoes. It was like monumental there. It was historic joints right there.
You
Yeah.
did fat laces? I forgot to ask you. Did you switch to fat
Nah,
laces?
nah, they was it was regular laces in there. And then, like I never it is funny though, cause like that was my first like real like love sneaker, right? But
Hmm.
then I only wore shell toes 3 times in my life, and that was one of them, right? And then I wore them for a little bit, and I was like, I don't like these, And then I started wearing some other shoes, and then like I said, then Jaden was wearing a lot of shells and Ultra Stars and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then I was always wearing something different, and then Jay would always see the different one. He's like, Yo, what's them? What is them? You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I got him out the shell toes. So if you start like seeing, you would start seeing pictures of him, Joe and D, and then
Hmm.
Joe and D would have on, either shell toes, superstars, or pro models, and Jay would have on a different pair of Adidas, and that was for me.
Mm. Okay, you pushed him off of it. He was
Yeah,
like these joints are bulky, man. Because
yeah, man.
especially I don't even know how they did it. First of all, I don't know how they did it. No laces,
2 pairs of socks.
man. But that shoe is so giant, though.
Yeah, but you had 2 pairs of socks, and the only thing that would be flapping is like the upper part of the tongue. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Because then you got your jeans. You either gonna have your jeans sitting on the tongue or under the tongue, so
Hmm.
you wasn't really getting that much movement. And it ain't like they was running track in them. You know what I'm saying? They just stomping and rapping. So
But I'm pretty sure they had to run. They had to run from fans though at one point. And
yeah,
you running in those with no
yeah.
laces.
It wasn't long distance, but yeah, they was definitely doing it. Definitely happened.
I try to remember it. I know I know the Fat Boys wore them in one movie, and I think they was like I don't know if it was like the Disorderlies, and they had to run
Okay.
in them or something like that. I don't know. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm showing my hip hop knowledge. I'm sorry, but yeah, man. Yo, Shake, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast, man. This was a hell of
thank
a
you, my brother.
time. Yeah, if you got anything to plug, you can plug it here too.
I ain't got nothing to plug, man. Just make sure y'all get back to the community, man. Put your arms around these young kids and help them, man. They need us.
Yeah, that's
They
an
need us.
absolute fact. And we say every week to everybody who's listening, wear your kicks. Peace.
Facts.